Alrighty, hello everyone. We've got Stephen and Patrick so far. G'day to you two. Wait for some others to join. Ooh. Just getting my seat sorted out. Bulletproof Designs, g'day. Stephen says, seems to be working better than last time. Oh, I hope so, but you know, I'm just weary of declaring victory too soon, let's say. G'day Jack, the railway enthusiast, how's it going? Van and Bricks, hello. Patrick says, don't jinx it. Yes, indeed. Here we go, people coming in. Ben, g'day. I know I didn't have much of a intro tonight, but that was because I was busy. AH137 Railway Videos, hello. Alright, well, while people are joining, I'll talk a little bit about map updates. So firstly, I've updated the outer circle line around the East Malvern area. I had previously labelled it as a rail trail all the way from Hillsville to Alamein, and after recently walking that section, I have sort of decided that although you can definitely walk all the way through, it's hard for me to declare that particular section a rail trail. I'm not very strict with my definition of rail trails, but yeah, it's just that for me to classify it as a rail trail, you've at least got to have a path going most of the way along the old alignment. And in that particular section, which I can show you on the map before we truly get started, you can walk. It's mainly just a driveway for the East Malvern Station car park, and then a short sort of wiggly path to cross over the golf course. But yeah, I don't know. I just decided that I would relabel it to destroyed alignment. Either side of the golf course / East Malvern Station is indeed a rail trail. I've still marked that. But yeah, it's just a little, what do you call it? Semantics update. Jack the railway enthusiast said, it's my birthday in 3 days. I'm turning 18. Well, nice. Happy birthday for 3 days time, and yeah, 18, hey. I normally say that birthdays don't really matter, but 18 is the one that does. And how soon do you get your driver's license, I guess, is the next question, because that is where you really get independence. And Roderick Smith says, there had been an embankment across the golf links, but it was removed. When I walked the line 1970s, the stumps of the bridge over Gardiner's Creek were still there. Very interesting. They are not there today. Oh, and the last little update is that I previously noted that, I previously said that the rails were being ripped up for good along the Maribyrnong River. I've been told that that's not so much the case. While the rails are being ripped up, they do intend to put them back, and I believe some may even have been put back already, although the Maribyrnong River is outside of my permitted exercise radius. Thank you, Victorian Government. So I can't confirm that for myself, but if any other viewers are within that area and they would like to confirm or deny what the status of all that is, then yeah, we would all greatly appreciate that. Alright, so we've got 9 people watching at the moment. I think we can switch over. Yeah, hang on. Yeah. I'll switch over to the map first so that we can get some perspective of where we're going. Alright. Here we are. Ignore all my other tabs. just worry about this map. So here's Melbourne CBD, and I might just change the background to be a little more visible. There we go. So this is the first line that we're going to be checking out, is Upfield Somerton link, and I think the first time I walked it was at night time, and I started at Upfield, entered in Somerton, which is now Roxburgh Park. I haven't checked out any of these sidings or the old Ford factory sidings there, or not too much, you'll see. But the second time I walked it was during the day, and I walked the other direction from Roxburgh Park to Upfield, and in fact I think we continued all the way to Preston. Yeah. Why that route? No particular reason. I can't even remember the exact route we took, but it was just a fun walk. We'll also be checking out, I said the Hillsville line. What I really mean is Hillsville railway station, which is over here. So there's Melbourne CBD, Ringwood, Lilydale, Hillsville. I was intending to walk from Hillsville all the way to Lilydale, but I gravely misjudged the weather, and I just misjudged it to the point where we got freezing cold and had to ditch at Tarrawarra, which is it's somewhere around here. I can't remember its exact location, but yeah, so I ended up walking. I've got photos as far as the tunnel, which is here, where the line changes from green to purple, but I haven't got beyond. And yeah, part of this is now a rail trail, I believe, maybe as far as Yering, or maybe just as far as Coldstream. Somebody can tell me where, but I should really update that, because it's not, the rail trail is not complete the whole way. It's only complete to halfway-ish to our Yarra Glen. And this purple line is under construction by the Yarra Valley Tourist Railway, or Hillsville Tourist Railway, whatever you want to call it. So we'll be looking at that later, and We will also be looking at Mornington, which is here. I don't think I've got many photos of the time that I walked from Baxter to Mornington, but certainly I've got photos from around Mornington Station itself. And I think that will be it. I think that will be it for tonight. Anyway, let's get into it, but let me just move that over there and go like that. Now I can look at the comments. Perfect. Comments. Ben M says, different topic I guess, I'd love to see them finish the upfield bike path from Gowrie Station to Camp Road, Camberfield. Could be good. Rail trail goes as far as Yering. There you go, thought so. Stevens is definitely worth revisiting Hillsville as soon as possible with the railway work going on. I'd like to see the progress on reopening Yarra Glen. Indeed. Jack says what railway lines will be featured in this live stream are those ones which I talked about. So Upfield Somerton, Hillsville, Mornington. I think if I go back here, or Upfield, yeah, this is what I want. Okay, so this is the first, this was probably, I want to say my very first, yeah, it would have been January 2016, my very first abandoned railway line that I walked along. This line remains in pretty much the same condition today. From memory, it was last used maybe 2004, something like that. But it had only been in intermittent use for the decade or so before that. Anyway, yeah, this was taken at 9:50 p.m. You can see the last remains of the sunset. And a longer exposure, and you can see both the sunset and the stars. That's quite interesting. Yeah. That's the level crossing at the recycling centre. Yeah, and you can, I guess this is a good time to point out that this is in fact dual gauge. So 2 different widths of tracks, and a few of you might say, well, hang on a minute, isn't dual gauge typically 3 tracks, where you've got the one rail, say over here, which is the common rail, and then the 2 over there, which are the different gauges for standard and broad? You'd be correct. But this is what you call Gauntlet Track, or Gauntlet dual gauge. So it means that the instead of sharing a common rail, the broad gauge and the standard gauge are sort of offset from each other. And the reason why you might want that is because in a 3-rail design, there can be some tight clearances between the 2 rails, and so that can lead to slower trains, speed restrictions on trains. And so theoretically, Gauntlet dual gauge solves that issue it's a little bit more complicated, and obviously it requires an extra rail. So say 50 odd % more expensive, but I think it's worth it in some cases. So you don't see it very often, but yeah, this is one of the few places. I'll also say that Gauntlet dual gauge is much more common with in Queensland, where you have or Western Australia, where you have narrow gauge 1067mm narrow gauge interacting with 1435mm standard gauge. Anyway, so this is the same line, just a different day. This is the 15th of May 2016. And so this is Roxburgh Park Station. It's got a small yard that is occasionally used. So on this day we had a Pacific National grain hopper rake stored in the sidings. There you go. Sprouter. I know a few of you will like that. Wait for it to... There we go. Yeah. So yeah, this is, if you see over here, and I just go to, yeah, here is the better view. That turn off there is the old Upfield Somerton link. Yeah, little sign saying Metro track interface boundary. Just basically showing where Metro's track sort of starts and stops. So the Upfield Somerton line isn't under the control of Metro. I believe it's under the control of V-Line. So there's a points lever. This is the same level crossing that we were at the night in January, except this is the daytime. You can see the rusted rails. This busy recycling centre. Let me get a new window up. And then I'll go to the map because I want to retain comments on the other one. We don't need that. Okay. Because I just want to see, yeah. So there's the recycling centre. That's the level crossing that we're looking at right there. There's a car. Nice gum tree. Hey, there's the thumbnail. So this is getting into the Ford sidings. Or actually, no, that's not the Ford sidings just yet. That's these sidings, which I should extend. In fact, why not do it right now? Extend that a little bit along there. I'm not sure exactly what these sidings served. Some industry. There's the Ford, these are the Ford sidings down here, and we'll get to them. So what did these, this random little section, and what's with the very weird crossover here? That's quite a weird thing. Better view. seem to sort of just go off into a big paddock now. Perhaps it once served that warehouse in the background. Bit of white paint. Random chair. This very small loop. Again, what was the... Oh, I think I know. It's the standard gauge. One of them is standard gauge. I think that's standard gauge and that's broad. So it's splitting the broad and the standard gauge. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. That's what the weird turnout is. But still, why have it there? Well, I guess, okay. I guess it serves, you've got the one set of points that serve, is this a broad gauge and a standard gauge siding? No, it's just standard. Oh no, but that's broad. So it is, okay, so that's broad, that's standard. There we go. Now I'm figuring it out. So you've got side by side dual gauge tracks leading into this siding. And then this track right here is standard gauge, which is a crossover. Yep. And then you've got, that leads into the forward sidings there. Okay. Roderick Smith says, the engineers of the era felt that they couldn't cope with points at the many sidings, which is why one track wiggled at those locations. There are pure dual gauge points in recent Somerton sidings. Okay. And Stephen says, speaking of maps, Floyd and I are making another map that is documenting all the surviving former VR rolling stock across Victoria and some other states. Indeed we are. Not sure when we're going to release that to the public, but whenever we feel ready. And AH137 said, the sidings before were the Cowrie timber sidings according to some old signalling documents. There you go. And X the First X says, hi Floyd, General Motors. What about General Motors? We're not at General Motors at the moment. But we can check out General Motors another time. So is that the Ford sidings? We'll have to see. I think they are. Yeah, a bunch of old Burrell concrete mixer things. I don't know what the technical term is. But, oh, we've got Cameron in the background. I think, well, he did come on a few... We came on... Did he come on? I didn't think... No, he didn't come on the Malort hike later that year. But he did... Well, that would have been like a few months. But then he came to South Gippsland. Yeah. And that's Ralph. One of Les's friends. Oh, a very overgrown siding. And then, yeah. Yep. So, can we read that sign? Shunting movements must not proceed. Les's hat is blocking that word. Beyond, I think. Beyond this be on this bars, something like that, unless drivers in possession, I think. Possession of tarp. Is that it? That's the best I can do. Is this any better? Of staff. I thought it, yeah, that makes more sense. Possession of staff, I think. As in a signalling staff that gives you authority to be in that area. Forward sidings. Just a bunch of junk. A plane. What sort of plane is that? Is that a, looks like a 737? Getting further down into the forward sidings. We've got, looks like a weighbridge. It's been burnt down. Don't know if that structure is still remaining today or if it's been removed in some capacity. Oh. So we've got this ceiling, what do you call it? Like an auxiliary control box, something like that. It seems to have some point controls as well. And yeah, looking further into the former Ford factory. Was it still working at that point, the Ford factory? I forget exactly when it closed. Looks like we're getting close to Upfield because there's a bit of electric line, although it's looking quite abandoned. There's not too many places in the network you'll see this sort of thing. Yep, and that's Upfield sidings. Got 304M. Ooh. Is that one of the Commangers now at North Geelong? I don't know. Oh, Jetstar plane. Oh, looks like another 737. Whoops. Oh, we've got 1002T. So that's part of 303, 304M, sandwiched in between them, I would say. There's 303 and 545M. And 546M. Another 737 it looks like. Getting towards Upfield Station itself. It's the level crossing. And Upfield Station. VR electrolysis. And there's a train coming into Upfield. 391M. And that's it for those photos. We obviously continued on to Preston and I got a bunch more photos, but not showing them tonight. Looking at the comments. Well, there's quite a few. AH says standard gauge track also went into the Union Steel siding just before the Ford sidings, which was probably why it went into that weird loop thing. Oh yeah. Be on this board. Stephen's just talking a bit about the map, the one which is showing the rolling stock. AH137 says the Ford sidings are now fenced off from the way you got in, but there's still a bunch of holes in the fence to access it. We quite possibly just went through a hole. Unless I can produce something showing that we didn't go through a hole, I would not rule that out. Okay, maybe we didn't. Okay. So I think we did just follow them. Okay, well, yeah. So there's fence across there now, or at least the gate is shut. But, yeah. Easily accessible. Roderick Smith says the first standard gauge tour to Ford had a fight with security about the right to enter to run around. I was on the second. Push-pull T-class locos, we didn't try to go in. Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that. The security guard said, you can't enter. And the drivers said, well, too bad, we can because we need to run around. And the security guard said something like, no, you can't. This is Ford property. And the driver said something like, no, too bad to you. Actually, this part is Victorian Railways stuff and we've got the right to access it. And eventually they did, because they didn't have another choice. And 304M is at North Geelong, a few people have confirmed. No Comenge is scrapped yet, but all of the tread brake models, all the tread brake units are due to go into storage within the next year or so. The disc brake units will hang around for some time. Stephen says, not too far from where, oh yeah, it's just talking about rolling stock. Okay. I think we'll go to Hillsville next. So this is Hillsville railway station. Looks like they've got a thing showing funds needed to restore J541, sorry. And it looks like at the time, which was 24th of March 2018, they were quite close at around 50,000. Oh, actually, no, you can't tell that. But they were close. That is poor old J541 sitting in front of a Walker rail motor trailer. That's an old ballast hopper, I believe. What looks like an old advertising, we'll try and brighten that up. There we go. Morning Mount Martha, Victoria, Australia. Meet winter as a friend. Take a Kodak. Okay. Oh, and that's a list of all stations in Victoria. So we're just looking around Hillsville Station. Bunch of older posters. Oh, fun to retrieve the South Gippsland Railway rolling stock, which has happened. There's a rail tractor over there that a couple of people were talking about. Tank. What's that under there? Under that tarp? Is it a guard's van or something? Or a box van? Something like that. Wow. Looks like a box van or a louver van. Oh, we got a T-class. MT. Another carriage. Looks like an E car, or actually, no, it looks like a W. And it looks very green inside here, and you might think that's an artifact of the camera, but no, that's an artifact of the fact that it was covered with the green tarp, and the light had to come through the green tarp first, so. CA, so. I don't want to spend too long here. Ooh. Crispy rail tractor. '17 RT. That was a classic, that looks like a classic example of VR reusing, creating a new wagon out of an old wagon. I believe one of the main reasons why that was so common was because if they did that, it would come out of their maintenance budget, not their new vehicles budget, and it was easier to get approval from Parliament for a larger maintenance budget than it was a completely new vehicles budget. So that's why you saw so many Frankenwagons. sitting on the goods shed. You can see like everyone's in shorts and t-shirts. It was quite warm. It just turned cold. So I mean, who have we got? We've got Les, Laura, Wyatt, and somebody else. I think Vladimir from memory. Yeah. And on the other side of the goods shed, I remember, was some people doing a wedding photo shoot, I believe. I just took a few different exposures of the same thing. Ooh. Hey, it's an explosives van. There you go. Underframe of a BW. There's a bit of rolling stock that's been saved over the years, or attempted to be saved, and then it's just rotten to pieces, and unfortunately it's had to be scrapped. Something like a BW, they're all fairly common. I don't see huge need to outcry or anything about scrapping of a rotten BW. I mean, what, you're not going to restore it? So what's it going to do? It's just going to rot even more. So it's either you scrap it and you give it a denutary end of life, or you let it rot even further and it's demolition by neglect. You end up in the same place anyway. At least when you scrap it, you can make some space in your yard. So it's starting along the line. So this section is not abandoned. It's the tourist railway. You can ride a train here. We decided to walk it, and there's a 38-mile mark. And had a bit of an encounter with a high rail vehicle. This is an abandoned bridge. What road was that? I don't know. But the bridge is still there. And we may have even found a geocache there. I don't know for sure. Yeah, here we go. Here's the high rail. They were just removing some graffiti, and we just had to come by and say, hey, we're walking the line. They weren't very happy about us being there, but they were like, whatever, you're here now, walk on. And yeah. So we were walking away. They sort of came up on us and went past us, and then stopped at the tunnel, and yeah, that was where we spoke to them. But yeah, that's it. I didn't take any photos at what do you call it? It's left me the name of the station. It's not Coldstream, it's not Yering. Tarawara, that's it. I didn't take any photos of Tarawara because it was raining. In fact, it was raining by the time we got to the tunnel, and I didn't want to get my camera too wet. Looking at some comments. Okay. So that what we were looking at was J516, not 541, and is now under tarps at that road. Not too long ago there was a scrapping cull at Turramburra. There was, but that was all stuff that nobody really had an interest in. So, nothing too bad. CA Guards van, yep. Vanderweeks likes the term Frankenwagons, yeah. Stephen said, fun fact, one of the GY wagons there at Hillsville I spotted had steam rail and coal traffic only painted on the side. There you go. Oh, and Stephen says the explosives van is 1P, the original P van. That's the explosives van, this one right here. Stephen said the MT had chalk writing saying that it was formerly for VFW with standard gauge in brackets. So it was the W carriage. Yeah. Well, I think you're getting confused. It wasn't, the MT was separate to the BW. Can I get photo? Yes, that's the BW. Is that it? No. I'm going to try and find, yeah, here we, this is a good one. That's the motor trailer. Oh, actually there was another MT somewhere around, but it wasn't the W car, I don't think. Or VFW, whatever you want to call it. Donovan's Road was the bridge, there you go. And yeah, Stephen was noting that we're not recording rolling stock that's under the care of a dedicated preservation group, because we're talking like an active preservation group, rather than because we have recorded the Donald Train Park stuff. That's, I guess, what you could call static preservation, whereas Hillsville and stuff, you want to call it dynamic preservation, I don't know. We're not recording that sort of stuff. Oh, okay, so the VFW was the MT. They got cascaded as rail motor trailers. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and VFW were A. This was our Mornington walk. So starting at Baxter and going towards Mornington. Who have we got on this walk? We've got a few new faces, I think. Wait for it to load. Oh yeah, we've got quite a few. I think that's Charlotte over there. Oh gosh, I really should remember her name, but I forget. Lara, that's it. And that's Laura. Don't get confused, Laura. Who's that and who's that? I don't know yet. We'll find out. Oh, we've got Cameron in the greyish shirt. And is that Max in the white shirt? I don't know yet. Approaching the freeway overpass. It looks like Max with the baggy pants. And Les, oh, it's just looking quite fine. Yes, it's definitely Max. There we go. All right, confirmed. So went to school with Max. There you go. That's Max, who is Maxwell Dexter, who produces the music. Les, who I went to school with. Lara. I didn't go to school with Lara. I went because I left before she came. I think she came the year I left. But I stayed in close contact with everyone from that school. So Les and Max and Lara all went to school together, and so Lara you could sort of count as a de facto classmate of mine, I guess. Geez, I'm surprised we pulled out. We got Charlotte and Lara to both come along. They're normally enthusiastic but never actually come when we invite them. Not so much Lara, she's alright, but Charlotte's a shocker for saying she'll turn up and then not. And then yeah, we're getting to Moraduck. Okay, 163. Turntable. Where's that turntable from? I should know, but I've forgotten. A tarp. Bunch of old rolling stock in there. Home signal. Little farmers crossing some junkies hangout station. Ooh, and that station is, I forget. Can I scroll down to Mornington and will it remind me? No. I forget. Someone tell me. What is it? That's Tanty. I think that's just a rail motor stopping place. And then that's Tanty. Turn out to Mornington Station. This is of course not the original Mornington Station, but a rebuild or platform. The original line would have continued through that way, and yeah, we sort of ended right there, but it continued that way, and the original Mornington Station was right here, inside what is now a big shopping centre. So, and a Coles, and we've got Coles down this end, Target, whatever. Yeah. Shame that they can't run all the way, but good that they can at least run to here. Ben says, I just googled the P-van, and they mentioned that in between each P-van there was also a safety wagon between it and each wagon. Interesting stuff. Yeah. Being explosives in case they did go off. They didn't want it to cause too much destruction. I don't know how many instances there were of explosives actually going off and what damage they actually caused. I'd have to read up on that. Tanty Park says AH137. Vanderbilt says reduce the chance of the whole train going up if one went up. Yep, that's for the P-vans. Stephen says, I want to visit the yard at Moraduk, especially since the railway's 3 ABL is getting worked on, and also 13 CM is there too, alongside the late 1800s carriages. Indeed. I got a full yard tour of Mornington, of Moraduk, because one of the volunteers saw a video of walking the rail line and said, hey, would you like to come and get a tour? So I said yes. And in fact, I got quite a different reaction from Hillsville. They were quite annoyed that we had walked along their line and asked us to take the videos down, which we did for a short time and then put them back up. And there hasn't been any complaints since. So yeah, quite interesting how there was such a different reaction between two tourist railways. The small platform would be the RM stopping place. Yep. Tanty Park was renaming of Mornington Racecourse. And apparently I'm pronouncing Tanty wrong. Is it Tantai? How am I supposed to say it? The RMSP was added in the late 70s, but was part of a station, you think? Okay. And Stephen says, Ben, one of those safety wagons was stored at Newlyn and recently got moved to private property and got restored. It was used at Ballarat. There you go. And Vanderbilt says, Mornington's a railway you'd love to volunteer at. Yeah, well, it's close to Melbourne. Mornington or Hillsville, I'd think. No, I'm not sharing the screen at the moment, but I'm just sort of taking a rough gauge about whether Hillsville or Mornington is closer to Melbourne. They're about the same. Mornington is perhaps easier to get to by public transport, but then again, Hillsville isn't that difficult either. It's a train and a bus to both of them. It's a bit far, you say. I think they're about the same, you know. I mean, I'm literally doing a quick straight line roughly from Melbourne. Hillsville is about 50 k's and Mornington is about, or Moraduk is about 47, something like that. So I guess Mornington is further away and Hillsville is closer than you think. So yes, they are about the same. Surprising. Even for me, that is surprising. If we measure can we measure just from Sandringham? Let's go straight line from Sandringham to Hillsville, 56 kilometres. Mornington, okay, So once you measure from like Sandringham, Mornington is closer in a straight line. Stop. But they're not too different. Like 20 odd k's. It's not too different. And as I said, you know, it's Hillsville is a train and a bus ride away, and so is Mornington, Moradok, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's interesting how Hillsville and Mornington are roughly the same from Melbourne. That's very interesting. Stephen says stuff about safety wagon. He knows one exists. A new owner said he just bought it since the previous owner died before he could restore it. There you go. Now sits in Wedderburn. Ooh. And Roderick Smith says, as far as I know, buses to Hillsville are more frequent and they go very close to the station. Convenience beats distance. Yeah. And I would almost push you towards Yarra Valley Railway over Mornington because I feel like they've got a greater need for volunteers than Mornington. I don't really like to be too picky, but if both are equal in all other regards, I would say Hillsville Yarra Valley Railway is more deserving of volunteer effort. Vandenbroek says, still want to go to SRV though, easy as to get to, and I'd love to work on some sparks. Well, you say easy as. I know from my place, which is around Sandringham area, it's around a 40-minute drive. Don't know if you'd be driving or catching public transport to wherever you go. But, I mean, Hillsville, they're all sort of a nice drive, but steam rail is not the easiest to get to from public transport, because you'd have to get off North Williamstown is the closest, but you've got to buggerise around with connections, so you'll often just get off at Newport, and then you've got to walk to there, and it's actually a fairly long walk from Newport itself. So yeah, it all depends on your personal situation, which one you would like to do and all that. You're 16, so you'd be getting there by public transport. Okay, yep, in that case, steam rail, I'd say probably hold off until you get your licence at least, because you can get there by public transport, of course, it's just a pain. And so, yeah, if you're going for ultimate convenience, possibly Hillsville is your best bet. If you're looking for ultimate convenience. You'd do all if you could, yeah, of course, we all would. But life does not work that way, unfortunately. COVID got in the way of you volunteering. Okay, yeah. Stephen's mentioning the steel-capped boots and also working with children's check or work card, whatever you want to call it. Even at 16, yes, I believe so. I believe everyone has to. Oh, and Stephen says steam rail under 18s have to be with a parent. Geez, I'm surprised about that. Maybe it's one of those reforms post Royal Commission into sexual abuse and whatnot. I think it seems a bit strange, 16s needing... I could understand like under 12 or something, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, the direct path from Newport Station to Steamrail is banned territory. Yep. You could, yeah, that's true. Bike could work. Because if, right, I'll start sharing the screen again in a second. And I don't want to continue on for too long. We'll stop at 10 past 10. So here's Steamrail, right? Shea Street, that's where you access. So if you were to get off at Newport Station, you would go down Market Street and then Champion Road, Shea Street. In fact, let me just measure that, whether it's even worth it to get off at North Williamstown. So you're looking at about 1.5 to 2 Ks from Newport Station. Okay, so it's a little bit less from North Williamstown. But still, gives you an idea of the sort of walk. It's not quick. So if you took a bike, yeah, by all means. But also, you got to factor in with the bike, or walking for that matter, is the weather. Of course, you can just walk or ride in the rain or whatever, but no one really likes it. So, whereas Hillsville, you're on public transport the entire way, and the bus will drop you out pretty much. I mean, look, there's a bus stop there, and there's the station there, so right there. Just for fun, how long is that? 100 metres, there you go. That's how far you got to walk. Stephen says you can get from Newport Station to the workshops if you ask for a key, plus you must also have an orange high-vis jacket. Yeah, I've gone on a bit of a tangent. Stephen, I'm not entirely sure about if that's technically legal, because I think you've technically got to have rail safety qualifications in order to make that trek, but I'm sure you can do it off the cards, off the books, whatever. The walkway that can get you across the tracks, station metro, yeah. Trainman says, nice up as usual, mate. Thank you, Max. Checked. Stephen says, I just checked and it isn't, and now it is under 15s, must be accompanied with the parent. Okay. So, yes, Vandenbricks, you can go there on your own being 16. Yeah, Stephen, just because you haven't been told off doesn't mean it's entirely legal. And you know me, I'm all for doing sensible things that are technically illegal but are sensible and perfectly safe. So I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying it might not be technically legal. Anyway, it is 10:12, and I said I would end it at 10:10. Thank you for watching. We have indeed come to the end of my railway day walks, all of my sort of railway hikes. Although I have checked out a few more railways by car, we'll see whether we want to switch over to looking at photos of railway lines that I've checked out by car next stream, or whether we want to switch up to a new topic. Possibly, I put out a thing on Instagram saying that would people be interested in a live stream sort of going into technical details of how a comment works, and it got an overwhelming, something like 60 votes yes towards 2 votes no. I hope everyone has watched my Railway Electrics live stream, because that's going to be a prerequisite. If not, go watch it. To the comment video. So, but what I wanted to say with that was that it's going to take some time to prepare, and I'm pretty damn busy at the moment, and it's going to be another month or two before I get not busy, so I don't know if that sort of thing is feasible for me to do. I can do a lot of it off the top of my head, but I think it would make it better, and I would prefer it if I could do some sort of pre-preparations. Different things to think about. Interviews is another potential live stream topic. I'd be interested in doing some interviews with various people. I've already done one with Les, of course. But other potential people could be YouTube. Could be, the title of that could be something like The Man in the Dairy. Or The Man Behind Dairy, something like that. Panda Explorers, wearing hats backwards to appeal to the youth. Abandoned Melbourne, J Boston maybe, TGO Sit even, I don't know. Interviews is relatively easy for me to do. Just a matter of organising the other person. Yeah. Otherwise, could do something else entirely different. I saw a bunch of comments. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Or it just says, as far as I know, Piccadilly Railway is the same for under 18s. Knee-jerk panic after the scandals. There was a time when 16 meant adulthoods. Lots of 16-year-olds got into World War I. They were cheating but looked adult. Yeah. I'm sure many other volunteers walk that way, Stephen. I'm just saying. No worries, Vanderbricks. Model trains. The common stuff isn't easy, no. Look, as I said, I can do top of the head, but it would probably be a better experience for everyone if I prepared some stuff. Model trains, yeah, we could do stuff about model trains. So I don't think that would be too difficult. While we're here, this is a train hobby S-Class diesel number 303. should pull out my, so this is a brass model. I've got a bunch of brass models inherited from my grandfather. And I should bring out my brass streamlined S-Class. Steam, that is. But yeah, it's quite a nice little model. I really like the brass models. They're expensive as hell, but that's why I didn't buy them. I inherited them. But yeah, well, no, that could be an interesting topic, is model railways. My history with model railways. While I pack this away, I will answer some more questions. The train man said, how do you get your mic that is this good or whatever? Well, so that's multifaceted, that question, the answer to that question. The first part is that the microphone itself is a Rode, Lavalier Go. I think there's the version 2 now. I've got the version 1, only because there was no version 2 when I bought it. It's a lavalier mic, so it's just sitting here. And it's wireless, so where is it? This is the transmitter right here, and it transmits to the receiver, which is a little bit behind the camera, which is then plugged into my computer via a USB dongle thing. And that, my camera is also hooked up to my computer, and yeah, I use the streaming software OBS, Open Broadcast Studios. But for your style of, for your style of videos, you won't need any extra special equipment. But I wasn't thinking about your podcast. You might be able to use it with your podcast. You might require special adapters things. It depends on the exact way that you record it. But yeah, microphones, I mean, gosh, I could do a whole live stream on gear recommendations and whatnot. Yeah.
Dog?
No.
Where is he?
I don't know. Yeah. I've got, how many microphones have I got? 3? Lavalier, shotgun, stereo. Yeah. Yeah, I've got 3 microphones. This is my other one, which I use. God, the cable. I've got a long cable on it, which is not necessary. This is the main one I usually use on my camera when I'm just out and about. This is a Rode VideoMic NTG. Oh, there's another one. Let me write that down. Gear recommendations as a potential live stream topic. Whoa. Yeah, okay, so I think the consensus is with the Comenge live stream that if I'm going to do it, best to do it right. Stephen's answering some questions about Newport. Yeah, look, I'd like to get into some more volunteering in the summertime when I'm done with uni and COVID crap is over. Yeah, so what would you like to see as the next live stream? We can go, I think the main contenders are model trains, gear recommendations, or exploring railway lines by car. We'll get to all of them one day. It's just which one do you want to see next? Put that in the comments. Okay, MarTV at the very end of the stream. And Victorian Rails Heritage. And Venturing Matthew James is suggesting live stream setups, all part of the same thing, I think. Roderick Smith says, as we near closing time, I hope that viewers are inspired to do the same walks and others for themselves. I hope so too. Okay, looks like there's a consensus for model trains, and I'll bring out my brass models. I used to have a bunch of plastic stuff, but it was easy to sell, and I've sold it. I sold everything except a few New South Wales kit stuff, and I think a GM class loco, which I do plan to sell. Yeah, I'll get more into my model train collection and how I got it, all of the shit that went down with that, and what I plan to keep. Model trains, I think, is going to be, all right, that's it, we've decided. I've decided. Model trains will be the next live stream. And then I think in the coming weeks we might do some interviews or gear recommendations. We'll see. But model trains can be the next live stream in 2 weeks' time. Ripper, says Will James. Sweet. All right, well, thanks for watching tonight. Went on a bit longer than expected. My watch has run out of battery. That's how long it went for. 10:25. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for some brass models. Bye-bye.